Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Robert Phoenix broadcasting to you live from Fredericksburg, Texas. What's happening out there? A bit of a change of venue. We're in Studio B today because I am trying to improve the quality of the stream. So the reason why I'm in here is because I can go direct into the router, and as a result of that, hopefully there'll be less buffering and in general a better user experience. I'll try to rewire Studio A, which I really like to hang out in, and you get to see all the sort of the backdrop and the ever-changing ritualscape which takes place behind me. But today we are in Studio B, and hopefully you guys will have a good experience, especially over on the 15 Minutes of Flame side. So what I want to do now is just welcome everybody to today's live stream. If you're new to it, I'm Robert Phoenix. We do this every day, Monday through Thursday, and it's called 15 Minutes of Flame. Usually lasts about 45 to 50 minutes, and I try to get in as much as I can. Usually there's kind of a topic or a theme. Sometimes I bounce all over the place. Today, kind of a loose topic theme, and we're going to get into the augmentation of reality. I've got a couple examples, some new things I'm bringing into today's broadcast, which I think you might enjoy. Some visuals, some video to kind of illustrate the points. Again, this whole thing is growing and evolving, and I'm really excited about what's taking place and taking back control of the media. One of the things that really changed, like if you've been following me for a while, I started to do a lot of the Sunday night live stuff when I was back in Austin. And I was using OBS as my encoder, and I still am. And that was really a pretty cool thing. I was getting familiar with OBS, and I was playing with it, playing with all the kind of the graphical elements. And then what happened was that YouTube came along and basically created a new studio, which essentially had a built-in encoder, because OBS is an encoding system. So at that point, it was like, well, I guess I'm using YouTube's encoder now. And what it did is it kind of hampered at that point in time my development, because I wasn't really clear on how to interface with OBS, and YouTube's kind of grabbing that technology, saying, here, we've got it all for you. But what they didn't do is they didn't provide the same kinds of potential bells and whistles that OBS had. So I'm working with it again and integrated into this new experience, but it's evolving. It's really exciting, and again, I want to thank everybody who donated to the GoFundMe. Obviously, there's more to come, a lot more to come. So let me just jump into the various chat rooms here and give you guys kind of a hello and how are you and all the things that go along with that, because I enjoy seeing people arrive. It's a very cool experience for me. And let's see, let's go over here. We have in the chat on 50 Minutes of Flame, there's Catherine. I'm still Catherine. I guess you could be Catherine. I don't know why you're Catherine, but you can be Catherine. Let's see, Chris and Steve. Anybody feeling weirder than usual? Judy says, I'm dizzy, not well. Yes, we had a weird kind of eclipse yesterday. Did anybody catch that? It was like a 4-hour eclipse, and the moon went backwards for about 4 hours. A very strange celestial anomaly on the Pisces new moon. Very, very crazy. And it just popped up. Let's go into the YouTube chat here. Mary says, good morning. What's happening, Mary? There's Christiane. Good morning, good morning. There's Chris. Good morning from Philly. Right on, Chris. Rhonda's there. Good day. There's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. And Isla. All right. And there's Ani. Still can't access chat on the website. So I'm not sure. This is really unusual. Oh, because I think, Ani, you're on the cell phone, right? Hi, Sandy. Welcome to the show. So is anybody else feeling unusual? I actually had a really good day yesterday. The energy was flowing pretty well. So is anybody else feeling a little strange? I mean, we had this weird kind of 4-hour. The moon appeared to move backwards, but it was like, okay, we're gonna move this alignment. You know what else is really interesting is I was watching Apocalypto last night, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Hey, Paul, what's going on? So in Apocalypto, the eclipse is a huge player, huge role in the movie. If you've not seen Apocalypto, It is a savage film, but I highly, highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. I think it's one of Mel Gibson's best movies. Best movies. Chris Fred says, tired, not well, dizzy too. Wow, interesting. Hey, Natasha, nice to see you. Ida says, I can't sleep. Man, I slept like a rock last night. Interesting. Let me check in with the other chats. Managing 2 chats and moving between worlds. I am Mercurius. Okay. Tony says, technocratic death of the soul. Always remember, convenience kills. Absolutely. Convenience is the Antichrist. I've been saying this for years. Years and years and years. Yes, Catherine says, how do I get my name back? I don't know. Create a new account. That's what I would do. Create a new account with a new email address. I guess that's how you do it. I'm plugging in ChatWe over on the 15-minute site. It's third-party client. They don't have a lot of customer service, but I played with a few, and this one was sort of the best. Solara, thank you. You're on the money there. Let me go back into the 15-minute site. I can't access chat in mobile version. I'm going to ask them about that. Ani says the vibe is surreal. Natasha's yes, feeling off. What time was the moon thing? I said I feel kind of wavy, if that makes sense. Let's look at this. Let me get into this. When was that moon? Let me find this thing out. Give me a second here. Let's see. The weird eclipse. Weird eclipse. Hold on one sec. Just trying. Oh, by the way, have you guys found that that the dollar stores are? Do you see that the dollar stores are closing? How about that? Dollar General is closing 300 stores. Think about that for a second. Think about that. Dollar stores, Dollar General. That's a statement about the economy. I'm just trying to find this thing on. I'm just trying to find this eclipse information. All right, here we go. So let's see. Earlier today, NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory (SDO) observed an eclipse of the sun, a strange kind of eclipse that you can only see while orbiting the Earth. The black disk of the new moon passed in front of the sun, reversed course, and did it again. So apparently there are Islamic eschatological records that said solar and lunar eclipses will be reversed, meaning the moon will reverse its orbit. Supposedly it's one of the signs of the Mahdi. The Mahdi is the Antichrist, the king of the age, right? Oh, it's one version. The Imam and the progeny of the Prophet Muhammad. So that's a sign for all you Mahdi followers. So it was not a matter of perspective of the South Observer because the moon reversed its orbit. It's very strange. Highly, highly strange. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so it's a double dip motion of the moon across the sun. It's the result of orbital mechanics. Orbital mechanics. Interesting. What else we have here? I'm going to try to get more information on it. Let's see. Let's see. So I think the moon went retrograde. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it appears to move backwards. And it's interesting because the moon went retrograde and Mercury went retrograde roughly same day, right? We had the new moon yesterday. Mercury went retrograde on the 5th. So it all kind of moved backwards simultaneously. I'd have to marinate on that one, just in terms of the overall impact, because it's so unusual. And we're actually getting a lot of feedback here that people are not feeling 100%. Ida says trying to ground, it's not effective. Judy says they just built 2 new I think Judy says 5G. She's saying DG. I read that dollar. There's Shari. What's going on, Shari? Kathy said, one of my best days. Thanks for clicking. I had a good day yesterday. I was really busy. I had a ton of readings. Ton of readings. Hey, so here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to kind of follow up on a few things. This is, Shari sent me, now I really looked all over the internet to find the information about Luke Perry and essentially what happened with Luke Perry. And let me see if I can bring this in. And Shari sent me this this image from a Google search. Now it looks like Google has scrubbed their searches. Let me see if there it is. Can you see this? This is Luke Perry. I don't know if you guys can see this right now. I hope you can. But it says, let me see if I can find this on the screen here. Let me see if you guys can see this. Check this out. Get some feedback here. Can you guys see this image that I'm talking about? You go into my. Can you see it yet? You go to my site. Okay, I'm trying to bring in some imagery here. So let me see if I can pull this over here. Is that right? No. Anyway. Google, Luke Perry suffers a massive stroke and is recovering in the hospital, right? And it was due, he was hospitalized after a pneumonia vaccination. And this is from MyFox 8. MyFox 8, and that was on the 28th of February. So, is there a correlation between his vaccination and the massive stroke he received? But you can't find that now on Google. You can't find it. It's very, very difficult to find that. Anyway, thank you for Shari for pointing that out and bringing it to our attention. We're in a very interesting time. Adam Schiff, who seems to be this, little gargoyle gnome who has his fingers in who knows what. Adam Schiff is basically taking the anti-vaccination point position. He's at the tip of the spear when it comes to bringing in anti-vaccination, either legislation or using whatever kind of weight or influence he might have with Amazon or Etsy. Remember, these are top-down. These are top-down decisions, and Adam Schiff is probably just the errand boy. He's being told what to do, and he's the front person. And there are, I think, about 14 states right now, if I'm not mistaken. It's either 14 or 18 states that are passing or in the process of passing laws to strengthen the anti-vaccine exemption, the state of Texas being one of them. Curiously enough, Washington and Oregon are also involved in a similar legislation. I'm really kind of astounded by Washington, since that's vaccine central with the mad professor, Bill Gates of hell himself, kind of leading the charge there. So anyway, this is really good news for some of us, because somebody's awake. But now Adam Schiff has decided to take these states on. I mean, this guy needs to be quarantined. They need to hazmat this guy. And one of the things that I need to talk about is that Adam Schiff seems to be kind of a central figure in the Qspiracy, and that apparently they've got all these goods on Adam Schiff. If that's the case, then take him the fuck out, please. Get this guy out of the way. And it has nothing to do with his aggressive attitude towards Trump and always throwing roadblocks. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. What I care about is he's sticking his fat little nose into areas that he really has no business sticking his fat little nose in. Now, maybe perhaps his puppet masters will find somebody else to dangle their puppet strings, and they'll go about doing their bidding. And so we'll just have another kind of version of Adam Schiff. But I think this guy's out. I think he's he's like stale milk. It's like milk that's been out for a while. Speaking of been out for a while, I got a funny story to tell you guys. I'll get back to this. I just have to tell you this story. So last night, I was making some gluten-free pasta. Really good stuff, by the way. I found this gluten-free pasta that's refrigerated. It's really cool. It's good stuff. Anyway, I have my gluten-free pasta, and I found this really great, organic, grass-fed or whatever the pork eats. This is like I got the best Italian sausage. So I have my Italian sausage, and I've got my gluten-free pasta, sun-dried tomatoes, olive oil. I've got my Parmesan. It's great. Garlic. Boom. It's my dinner. So I cook up 2 of these sausages, right? So because I only want to eat 1. 2 would be a bit much. So I keep 1. I had it on the countertop, on a small plate, right? So I'm going about my business, eating my dinner, watching a little Apocalypto, because I always like to see hearts removed while I'm eating dinner. No, not really. That's not the case, but that's what happened. Anyway, so all of a sudden, Jasper kind of saunters into the living room, and, he lays down, and I noticed, because Jasper is a little food grubber, right? So even after I finish my food, he'll be waiting. He's like, let me have that plate. What's on that plate? This time he didn't do it. I'm like, wow, Jasper's really well-mannered tonight, right? So I go out to the kitchen, and I see this thing on the floor, and it is about less than a third of that Italian sausage that I had on the plate on my countertop. Jasper had devoured 3/4 of Italian sausage. It was not a small Italian sausage either. No wonder the little turd was so well behaved. He devoured 3/4 of that. 3/4 of that's Italian sausage. That's how much he took. That's how much he ate. Anyway, it's a funny little story. But we've got to, we have to. This Adam Schiff guy. Shifting back to Adam Schiff, we got to hazmat him. We got to hazmat. This is ridiculous. So somewhere out there. If you are part of the underground, if you're part of the underground resistance, you're part of the White Hats, if you guys even exist at all, please dispatch this guy. If you've got the goods on him, right? If there's one of these, indictments, please just move it to the top of the list. Get him out of the way. He's annoying as hell. Okay, because he's sticking his nose into places that I don't think he really should be sticking his fat little nose in. That's just one man's opinion. Especially in the anti-vaccines. This is the new battleground, by the way. Anti-vaccines and vaccinations in general are the new battleground. Apparently, they're going to be rolling out a list of adult vaccines. It's coming. And this is all going to be part of the new economy, right? It's all going to be part of the green economy. It's all going to be part of universal basic income. You want to be part of universal basic income? All you got to do is take your scheduled shots. If you don't take your scheduled shots, guess what's going to happen? Oh, yeah. You won't get your universal income. Oh, sorry, you're not getting paid this month, but we've got a hypodermic needle. All you got to do is just take it. Just take it. Take it. Take the shot. Get your money. Play Nintendo. Anyway, convenience is the Antichrist. It is the Antichrist, and it manifests in versions of augmented reality, which is part of what we're talking about today. What do I mean by augmented reality? Well, there are many definitions, I think, of augmented reality. One of the, I think, primary definitions is when a virtual reality is superimposed onto this so-called reality. And we saw that when, what was it? It was Pokemon, right? People were doing the Pokemon stuff, which was, I think, a major psyop. And it was a major, mind fuck to see what people will do, what they're capable of, how gullible they are. And there were some people that actually got injured as a result of this. And I actually knew a young guy who was playing on my son's baseball team who was skateboarding and, looking for Pokemon. He almost got hit by a bus, and he ditched the skateboard and he fell and he scraped up his arm and his shoulder, and because he was hunting for Pokemon. That's augmented reality. That's one version of it. Okay, there's going to be advanced versions of augmented reality that won't be so clumsy like with your cell phone. You'll actually have glasses, like Google glasses, or whatever glasses that they come up with, which will allow you essentially to have the experience of, guess what, getting to see another reality, an augmented reality through your glasses. What is that? What is that a correlation of? It's a correlation of the third eye, because with the third eye you get to see things that your two physical eyes can't see. So this is the synthetic opening of the third eye in humanity. It will be augmented reality. And Marina Abramovich, the Satanist, right? The spirit cooker, she's working on augmented reality right now. I know that for a fact, because I know the person who's working with her on the augmented reality trip. Okay, so keep that. So what is Marina Abramovich going to cook up with augmented reality? One can only begin to surmise what will come out of that interesting experiment. So that's one version of augmented reality. It's going to become more popular, and it's going to skew this version of reality. Now, there are more subtle versions of augmented reality, and they're not as blatant. They're not as theoretically concrete, even though we're not dealing with a concrete thing. We're dealing with an image that appears to be concrete, but it's more implied. And let me give you an example about this. So recently, the Joe Rogan experience. Joe Rogan brought Jack Dorsey back on to the show, and Jack brought his head of, I don't know, the deputy of thought police, this woman named Jayala, and so they had a summit with Joe and this guy. I think his name is Tim. Is it Tim Booth or something like that? Anyway, not familiar with the young man. He's pretty sharp. I'm telling you, man, sometimes millennials with that Pluto and Scorpio, man, they can be very sharp. They can be on when they're on. It's neat, it's like the laser beam, the collective laser beam. Anyway, one of the things that they were trying to convey during Joe Rogan's interrogation, so Joe Rogan was a little on the soft side with them. This Tim guy was pretty good. Anyway, one of the things that they were trying to convey was this word called context. Context. That everything that they are in the process of either shadow banning or doing whatever they do on Twitter has to do with context. It's not about whether or not you actually violate something that is egregious, whatever that is. And these third-party clients like YouTube or like Twitter and Facebook, they've been erected to be this buffer zone of free speech, and they're redefining before our very eyes what free speech is. And because they're not free speech oriented, and they can always go back to fill in the blank, right? They can go back to violating the community guidelines, whatever they are, right? Apparently the community guidelines are not covered by the Constitution. Well, there's a reason why, because theoretically Twitter is a private enterprise. It's a private enterprise. So, I guess they can do whatever the hell they want. Free speech be damned. Although, where they get into the weeds is the context. Because there are videos on YouTube that pop up that are not censored. And one of the cases in point was there were 3 strikes against Alex Jones. And they were ridiculous. They were totally ridiculous. And one of the strikes that was against Alex was a video where there was a kid that was being pushed down. And I believe Alex used this video as an example of something. He was not advocating the beating up or the pushing of a child. Okay? Was not advocating that at all. That was one of his strikes. Another one of his strikes is he got into a pissing match with some media guy. He was using, Alex Jonesy kind of language, but it was ridiculous. There was no. They thought that there was some implied threat, and I can't even remember what the first strike was. It was stupid, really stupid. So they contextualized all this stuff, and then what they did is they created an augmented version of reality. And what I mean by that is that, again, theoretically, we have this thing called the First Amendment. We get to talk. We get to, share. We get to put our foot in our mouth. Sometimes we get to say something profound. Sometimes we get to say something profane. Whatever it is, that is boiled into that document. But it has been being chiseled away, chiseled away, chiseled away. We go back into right around 2008, 2009, where we're starting to put the hate speech laws in. I'm going, oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. And they put that on the back burner for a while. And what they did is they let everything cook. Right? They just cooked it. They cooked it. They cooked it. They cooked it until finally it was done. It got really hot, and it coincided with Alex Jones, and it coincided with sort of the concrescence of the quote unquote truth movement. And that's now they're going, okay, here we go. We're throwing down now. We're going to use this. We're going to use this. We're going to use this. Not only that, but also remember about a year ago on the internet, if you were using a website, you were getting an email. And the email was from the website that you were using. Oh, we have changed. We've changed our privacy policy. Oh, we've changed our policy in regards to financial transactions. Why were all of these websites sending you these privacy policy changes? They're sending it to you because they changed it in the EU. The EU changed how privacy and how you. It's not just privacy, but it also has to do with free speech. They created a template, and they said, this is what we're doing. So the reason why we had to do this is because it's called the World Wide Web. It's not called the Texas web or the Fredericksburg web or the United States web. It's the World Wide Web. And so the EU comes in, brings in all the changes, and now all of a sudden we have to go, I agree, because you want to continue to do business. I just recently got something from PayPal. PayPal is updated. They sent out an update, and basically PayPal said, look, we got a new policy here. The policy is, if we're going to make changes to anything with your account or to our service, we give you 5 days notice. 5 days notice. Well, why is that? Why is that? Well, I guess 5 days is better than just springing it on you. It's because PayPal has become tied to the hip with the ADL and the SPLC. So now they're looking at, we got to monitor the hateful things that people are saying, or really the truthful things that people are saying that are somehow branded as being hateful or discriminatory. So again, now they're putting these things in place. But let's get back to the Joe Rogan experience, because what they were talking about in terms of this context, it's augmented reality. So what they did is they brought up an example. I don't know if you guys saw this video, and it went viral. It was I think from North Carolina, and there was this group of young black girls, and they were screaming, and they were hollering, and they were going after this guy with his wife and his kids. It was outside of a mall. Don't ever go to malls. Malls are just, I'm sorry. Malls were never a good thing in the first place. I always hated malls. Although I did hang out at a mall when I was a kid, like most kids in the 70s did, because, live in suburbia, there's no place to go. Oh, let's go to the mall. Let's go hang out. Yeah, it was the 70s thing. But, by the time in my 20s, I just felt like malls were just these soulless kinds of catacombs. They were these tombs. They were these giant tombs that you just walk in, watch your culture die before your very eyes. Anyway, so they're outside this mall, And they're barking at this guy, they're barking at this guy, they're barking at this guy. And you could see that he goes primal. He goes primal on him. He, like, you know, he didn't say, let's get out of here, let's move. You know, he's sitting there going, I got to defend my wife, I got to defend my family. You know, he goes back probably about, I don't know, about 10,000 years. And all that stuff exists in our DNA, right? All that stuff, all that, you know, primordial intensity exists inside of us. You know, the DNA it's a time code. It's a total time code. So he reverts back, right? He reverts back, and he decides that he's going to protect his family. And so this girl pushes him, and he pushes her back. And she's, you know, not very big. I mean, she's got, I don't know if she's got, you know, huevos. I think she's really kind of dumb, to be honest with you. And now she comes up and starts to go like this. You know, the guy towered over. He could have just put his hand out, you know, and that would have been the end of it. So she starts swinging at him, and he unloads with a left hook on her. Wham! And she goes down. And all the other girls, wham! They're gone. Like, we want no part of this, right? It's like, okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because Twitter left that video up. So while Alex Jones has a video you can't even find anymore about some kid being pushed out, and I'm not here to stand up for Alex Jones, okay? Alex Jones can stand up for himself. But what I'm trying to bring into this picture is this idea of context, because they let that other video up. Why? Well, because the message of that other video is that guy is a bad guy, right? He was a big, bad man. Look what he did. That's what happened. That is what happened. So in their mind, well, the context with that is we've got to show people how big and bad that man is. And it just happened to be, you know, white. They'll leave that up. Even though Twitter doesn't condone the violence that's perpetrated on children, they were mighty fine leaving that up for, probably still find it. But they have one video that Alex Jones used as an example, and that's a strike. I don't really like Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I go there every now and then. I read Twitter. There's some people I read on Twitter. That's some things I find interesting or funny. But I don't really pander to Twitter. This is a version of an augmented reality because Jack Dorsey and Jayala were trying to spin this as context. And Dorsey he's got this NLP kind of, he's got this NLP speak that he sort of traffics in. And does the guy ever change his baseball cap, by the way? No. Question mark. So what they're peddling is a version of augmented reality. And it's not the same augmented reality that is being pushed by ultimately this projection onto this third dimensional reality. It is a moral subjectivism to a large extent, augmentation of a reality. And when you get into this whole, and I think context is important in a lot of ways, but it's also something that's being used and abused. And it's used as a buffer to basically say, these are the rules of engagement, and this is how we're going to interpret this version of reality. And if you don't understand the context, then you don't get it. And I get that. But it's a slippery slope, because once you go down that path, context becomes a very, very subjective sort of tool to use. And I don't disagree that context is important. It's very important. It has its role. But this is what they were spinning. Okay, I want to spin a little bit of something here. I'm going to try something new. Now, this is part of today's topic, the augmentation of reality. Now, we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there where we're looking through glasses and we're seeing something that theoretically isn't there. What is that going to do? What's that going to do to our perception, our consciousness? How's that going to affect us? Now, it could. I mean, maybe it has a very interesting kind of effect. I don't know. Right? Maybe it's part of our mutation. But I think if we look close enough, really, really close enough, we'll find that the natural world and the world around us is as equally, or if not more interesting, than augmented reality. Augmented reality are for people, I think it's for people that are just absolutely bored and lazy and are being lulled into the sense that there's nothing else going on in the world. That what's more important is this other reality that they can inhabit or interact with for a brief period of time. Okay, that said, we are being moved into that direction. Oh, one more thing before I try to punch these videos up, which I'm going to play for you. There's this guy who wrote a science fiction book about the future, and apparently one of the themes in his book is that you'll be able to look at a person via augmented reality and you'll be able to see their score, their personal score above their head. Think about that for a second. Think about if you're walking around and everybody, just like a freaking video game, has like their personality score and ratings and little emojis above their head. And the emojis represent, how they're being defined or delineated by this third-party system, which is going to be connected to social credit and universal income, all that stuff. So theoretically, you've got this, right? You've got this governing body that's placing a judgment upon your head. And you look at that person and go, oh, wow, I don't want anything to do with that person. They're a bad person. They're evil. Oh, look at that emoji. Oh, my God. He's got the devil and the poo emoji. Holy shit. And you just walk away, go on the other side, right? And then you have the other person that's like unicorns and rainbows and, ding, 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 ding. Oh, hi, who are you? Oh, yeah, I've been looking at your rating. Boy, that's a great rating. I've been looking for somebody who's got the double unicorn with the rainbow sandwich. Holy smokes, you are really special. Really, really special. Yeah. What do you think of my rating? Huh? Pretty good, huh? Hey, let's my rating and your rating together. We can rate up. We can level up. Oh yeah. But we can't have sex. You know that, right? That's been outlawed. We can't have sex. We can't touch each other. But guess what? I got some virtual reality goggles at home. You can put them on, and I can put them on, and we could go meet together. And I got a bunch of environments that are super cool. Like we could have virtual sex on another planet. We can have virtual sex with dinosaurs running around us. Man, it is so cool. We can even have virtual sex underwater. That one's a trip because you think you're really underwater, and you right, and all of a sudden you figure out you can breathe, and oh man, and you could be a mermaid, and I could be a shark. Right? It's like that's where it's going. That's where it's going. So what are the steps that are going to take us there? What are the steps? Convenience kills. That's right, Tony. That's right. Convenience is the Antichrist. Okay, what are the steps to take us there? Well, the first step is, we have video games at home. Who hasn't played a video game at home? I have. I've played video games. I don't play them anymore. It wasn't like a big thing. I didn't have a game player. I got into video games when my kid was young, and we would play Mario, okay? He would sit on my lap, and we'd do Mario together. Did it, right? Played a few other games together, was always together, and then we wound up playing racing games and no shooter games, no fighting games, just fun games, mostly racing. And then we played some Madden football together, which didn't always go well because my kid hated losing. Anyway, and then that was it, done. I don't have a video game console in my place. I don't do it. But there are people clearly that do. It's still very popular. And also games on your phone are very popular. And also these, the new version of the Game Boy. Well, Nintendo has something called the Nintendo Switch. And the Nintendo Switch is a portable device that allows you to play wherever you are. You play, a taxi, play waiting in line for a movie. But let's just say, for instance, you wanted to take that and bring it to somebody's house and then plug it in. And it allows you to take your game reality anywhere you go. From your house to your car to a taxi to an Uber to somebody else's house. It can be with you all the time if you want. So I'm going to show you two versions of this. And I'm going to show you basically how this works. Okay, so let me see if I can fire this up. And the two versions are very interesting. I'll give some commentary on it. So let's see how this goes. My first time doing this. Cross your fingers.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. 25th and 8th, please.
Play wherever you are.
I got the move.
That was it. Play
Have a good day, man. All right, take care.
taxi.
You guys want to compete?
For instance,
I got something for you. Watch this. Take this, take this.
house, plug it in. Allows you to
Nintendo Switch is my way to play.
Okay, I'm still working out the kinks here. Let me play this again. I'm going to play this scene again, and I'm going to try to talk over because it looks like I can. Okay, here we go. Let me come back here. Let me try it one more time because I'm still working on how to do this. All right, here we go. So here we go. This is Nintendo Switch. The guy is in his taxi cab. It's probably an Uber. Oh, there he is. He's having great fun. Bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. Yeah. Oh, I just got the moon. That's what he said. I got the moon. Now he comes into the house, and he's like, I am the life of the party. Look at this. Oh, yeah. There they go. Shaky, shaky, shaky.
Nintendo
Switch Mario
is
stuff.
my
Okay,
way to play.
yeah, look at me, look at me, look at me. Okay, so I want to play this again. It's very interesting to see what happens. One more time. I got to play this one more time. Here we go. I hope you guys can see this. I think you can. So we'll play it again. So he says, how's it going? He gives his address. This is where we're going. He pulls it out. It's like, yeah. And I got the moon. Symbolism right there. Moon is magic. Right, it is magic. Now, okay, let me stop this.
I got something for you. Watch this. Take this, take this.
Still figuring this out. Okay. If you watch, there's this woman who's in the. Okay. She's the blonde on his left right there. I'm gonna play this one more time. I gotta play it one more time. Okay. Here we go. One more time. Nintendo Switch.
How are you?
You have the yin yang, right? The inner and the outer. Inside the house, outside the house, anywhere you go. I got the moon. There's your magical symbolism.
You have a good day, man.
Okay, he brings the moon, which is enchanted. Look at her. Okay, she's over here. She's kind of disinterested. She's got the drink, right? Hanging out with that dude. Now she's gone. Dude's by himself. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, right? And oh my God, there she is. Oh, she's having the time of her life. Woo-hoo-hoo. Right? She goes, I'm bored and disinterested. Now she's like, oh yeah, this is great. And the moon is enchantment. He says, I've got the moon, right? And Mario is Mars, and it's will. Mario is an aspect of the will. It's an extension of the will. Super Mario means super will. That's what it essentially means. It's the extension, hyperextension of the will. So now, here's what happens, okay? This is the other side of that scene. It still has to do with Switch, right? And these commercials are running simultaneously. Now remember, he happens to be African-American male, so-called black male, right? So that's one version. Here's the next version of Switch.
Goodbye, honey.
Now here we go. Very different scene. Stay-at-home dad, which is a common theme now in commercials. He's got the baby. Oh, let me put the bottle down and let me play The Legend of Zelda while I've got my kid. Let's not really give a shit about the kid. Let's just play The Legend of Zelda. Oh, she comes home. Now look, they're playing together. Oh, yes. And there's the kid in the background. Let's not look at our kid.
I'll think about that.
Let's not look at our kid. Let's not deal with our kid, right? Let's not deal with the kid at all. Oh, the kid is the most disinteresting thing in the entire commercial. Kid's asleep for the consequences of what's about to take place in that kid's future. Let's do this again, one more time. So here we have again the inner and the outer. He is the opposite of this magical dude coming out of the Uber. He's older, right? He's got gray hair, but he's still a kid at heart. He's got his kid next to his heart, and boom, legend. She comes home.
Wait.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at
I was
that.
thinking maybe we should.
If I was that woman, she's like, oh, she's disapproving.
I'll think
Because
about that.
he says, oh, let's name her Zelda. If I was that woman, I'd like knock that thing out of his hand. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You know? I mean, you're a stay-at-home dad. She has a meeting. That's what she says. I gotta go. I have a meeting. So this is a more common theme, by the way, in commercials. You see more stay-at-home dads. I don't really have a problem with that. I was a stay-at-home dad for a while, for a couple of years. It was a little weird, I have to say, but it was great. I loved it. I did enjoy my time, but it felt a little oddly. I'm not sure it should have happened that way, to be honest with you, but it did. Okay, let me play the scene one more time. Let's go back, and here we go. So okay, there she is. This is the baby. And these are all actors too, right? And they're wearing gray. And he's wearing the kind of the slate blue thing. Everything's gray. Everything's dull. Everything's drab, kind of in that house. Except here, what a reality that is. Oh boy. Let me check on that kid.
What's that thing?
Wait.
There's this.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Good job.
maybe we should.
I'm so
rename
proud
her
of
Zelda.
you. You are such
I'll
a
think about
warrior.
that.
Okay.
You were able to get right into the prisoner Zelda and kick some ass, honey. I know that I can count on you. The shit is a fan. Keep that Nintendo Switch right by your bed. Put it right by your bedside. Because if we have any intruders in here, I know you can take them out with your prisoner Zelda tools and weapons. This is what's going on. See, they're entraining us. They're training us to be able to accept this new version of augmented reality. It's a baby step. It's a baby step. Take it here, take it there, take it everywhere. And in fact, you can relive your adolescence and youth. Doesn't matter if you held off and waited to have a kid, you got gray in your beard and you're a brand new dad, you can still retrieve your youth. By the way, the Prisoner of Zelda is an old game. So is Mario. It goes all the way back to like the early 90s. I think the Prisoner of Zelda was like maybe the third or fourth game that Nintendo came out with. Anyway, this is where it's headed. But the imagery is interesting, right? Because they're using polaric magic by launching the two commercials at the same time. Essentially, you have black and you have white, right? You have black and white. By the way, there's a movie coming out starring Will Smith called Mr. Gemini, and that's happening, I think, during the summer. Mr. Gemini. I'm telling you, man, these people, they know exactly what they're doing. They're using the esoteric and the occult symbolism and the Enochian magic and the polaric magic to create distortions, to divide and conquer, and to essentially erect a new reality before our very eyes. So we have the black and the white. We have the guy out on the town. He's footloose, he's fancy free. He doesn't have to pay the guy when he gets out of that car. He can just move about wherever he goes. He can take his reality wherever he goes, right? You got that guy, and that's happening at night. And I believe the other commercial is happening during the day. So we have two modes of consciousness. We have the Apollonian, which is sunlight, order, structure, domesticity, family, and then we have the night version, which is symbolized by the grabbing of the moon. By the way, do you know that the name for the moon in, I believe, Sumerian is Sin? Sin, that's right. So that we have these two versions, right? These two versions. The Apollonian, we have the Dionysian. We have the black, we have the white. And it is a magical operation that Nintendo is actually playing with. We have the inversion of the man who would normally go to work and the woman who would stay at home. Hey, I've got the meeting. What would the woman do? Would she be playing a video game? No, probably not. That's not to say that women don't play video games. The woman would be doing something more constructive, right? I mean, she would be doing something. She might be paying a bill. She might be cleaning something. She might actually be like attending to the child, perhaps. Wow, what a thought, what a concept. But no, she's out, and then you have, loser prayer returnist husband, playing with the video game. But at the very least, it represents a model. It represents a model. The Dionysian versus the Apollonian, the night versus the day, the black and the white, the magic and the order. Boom! And even if you look at the symbol of the Nintendo Switch, right? It represents duality and polarity. And that's how we get entrained. We go back and forth and back and forth. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Let's get into chat. We got any chat action. We're going to shut it down here soon today. What's going on in, I guess you see in the commercial where they're saying que sera for the VR. Yeah, Steve, I'll bring that up maybe tomorrow. Maybe we can talk about that. Steve and Chris tomorrow with me on the Friday Firecast. Looking forward to that. And we have some issues. Try clicking on live control on the bar. Okay. Let's see what else. Let's see. One thing. Okay. We're doing okay over there. What if I don't agree with their perceived reality? You don't have to. You don't have to agree. But it's going to be harder and harder. There's going to be soft coercion. People around you will be engaged. So you don't want to be on an island, right? You don't want to be on an island because that's where people get isolated. And so what happens is you wind up conforming. It's a classic tool of conformity. You don't want to be out on an island. You don't want to be on the fringe. You don't want to be left alone. And so you consent. That's what happens. Okay? All right. Hey, thank you, everybody. Ani says we will not be defeated. What steps are there to stay the fuck out of that crap? You got to just be aware. You just got to be aware. And sometimes you've got to make hard decisions, hard choices. It's unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Jesus said, Sananda said, you must leave your family. Sometimes that happens. I'm not advocating that. I'm all in favor of restructuring and rebuilding families. I think that's an important thing. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to leave your friends. Sometimes you have to leave your job. I mean, at some point, we might have to leave the economy. I mean, if this thing keeps going down this path of virtual cash, you know where it's headed. You know what the end game is. And people have to make decisions, I guess, at that point. We're not there yet, but attune your consciousness to other options and other alternatives now. It's important. Get there before you get there. Die before you have to die. That's a very important aspect of where we are. All right, I am out of here. Thank you so much for being a part of today's program. I'm going to go back and watch this to see how the video thing actually worked or not. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to discern what's possible. Come back tomorrow, 12 noon. We're going to be over on the 11th house with Steve and Chris. Always a great way to spend a Friday afternoon. Have a wonderful day. I'm Robert Phoenix. Take good care.